Hey, Instagram. I hope everybody is doing gloriously today. Having a glorious one. We're having a interview today. We had a we had a little change of plans, and then I had to do a little bit later because wife and I had a lunch date today. So yeah, we just try to find time for that. My mother-in-law was here watching our, uh, oh, thank you, watching our daughter. Glorious to see you. Glorious to see everybody joining. Mother-in-law was watching our daughter while we were going to a walkthrough of our new townhome that we're hopefully going to be moving in soon. And very, very excited about that. Very pumped for that. But since we had my mother-in-law watching her, we went and we had a lunch. We had a nice little lunch date. Yeah, it was very happy. Very happy, very good. I think it's really important to be able to do that. It's obviously hard with a child. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm hoping and praying. Ask for those prayers and positive vibes. We had a couple things to iron out for closing, so hopefully we can get those things all squared away. Feeling very excited though. Feeling very excited. Uh, you know, it's our first. It's our first, so very pumped. Oh, I love to see it. I love to see all the likes, all the love. And thank you, everybody. You guys are glorious. Absolutely glorious. And we will, if we can get Mr. Edwards on here, we're gonna have a glorious interview with Gavin Edwards of his yoga Instagram. So he really likes to do yoga for brain injury and stroke survivors. I think we got him there. Gavin, if you hit the little camera button on the bottom next to the chat, you should be able to join for video. So if you would do that, and then we'll start the interview. There we are. Let's see. There we are. Yeah,
Hello.
how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're getting you from up north,
Yes, sir. Canada.
Canada. Well, now, yeah. Now, I guess it's a is it a happier time temperature wise?
Oh yeah. In August, so the heat's hitting us right now.
Oh, really? Like, how hot is it?
High 20s, 30s. Not too bad, but it's getting quite humid.
Oh, dang. I'm sorry. Well, I said the winter will be here before you know it, right?
Oh, for sure. Oh, I'm not complaining. I love the heat too.
Yeah, I guess it's better. I guess it's better, right? 'Cause
I don't. I. That's part of my yoga practice. I don't complain about the seasons. I'm okay with whatever happens.
yeah, you live in the moment. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely. Because it is, you know, no use wasting negative energy.
You can reframe anything really to be positive or to be, you know, something that it's not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I would love to start today just by hearing your story.
For sure. I had a skateboarding accident in 2013, and I don't remember it at all, but what I was told was that I drove some friends to a skateboard contest. It was a new skate park in Ajax, so a beautiful skate park. And apparently I collided with another skateboarder, and I believe he had a helmet on. I didn't have a helmet on. I had no
Uh,
safety equipment on. So it was bad for me. but the other guy got a concussion,
Mm.
and I was told that I had seizures at the scene. Um,
Oh my.
so I'm very grateful that I don't have seizures anymore. I've been very lucky with
Wait.
that.
Entire seizure free since then?
Yes, sir.
I
They put
thought.
me on Dilantin, a medicine for
Uh,
to ease seizures, and I was on that for about a year, and they cleared me, and I didn't have another seizure.
oh, great. So yeah, I understand. I had a seizure at the scene of the accident, and then one where they put my skull flap back in. So it's like only related to trauma, And I guess that's for you, like not like this is nothing that's going to continue, right?
I mean, I get shaky a lot. I was shaky earlier today because I like to push myself, but yeah, so I need to get that checked out, tremors or whatever I
Uh,
believe. So I use a lot of herbs and Ayurvedic remedies, and
mhm,
that's just basically herbs from India.
mhm.
I'm drinking Tulsi tea with ginkgo leaf in it.
Yeah, for a minute there, I was like, wow. I was thinking that was a beer. I was like,
Mm-mm.
he's nice and
No,
relaxed.
I've cut alcohol completely out.
Uh,
I do use medical cannabis, however, and that's a godsend, honestly. Um, Gardening and just being around plants.
is
uh,
that really helps you?
Oh yeah. But as far as the accident goes, sorry to get off topic,
No, you're.
but yeah, I was airlifted to a hospital in Ajax. So I had a neuropsychology report done, and they told me what happened at the hospital. So they airlifted me to a hospital in Ajax, and they said that I was trying to fight nurses, which is out of character for me completely. I
Uh,
don't fight people. I've never fought anybody in my life.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not a mean person.
yeah, yeah. I feel like they
I
know.
teach yoga. So they said I was trying to fight people, and I read that and I was just like, "What?"
Hey,
And I have no memory of that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
apparently they gave me sedatives or whatever, so they put me in a coma because they had to help me.
yeah.
So I believe then they took me in a helicopter to Sunnybrook in Toronto. So I went from Ajax Hospital to Toronto, and I stayed in Toronto for just under a month. And I don't really remember a lot of my stay in the hospital. I do
Uh-huh.
remember my parents came to visit me almost every week. I was just really confused. I had no idea why I was in Toronto
Uh-huh.
because that's I didn't drive to Toronto. I drove to Ajax.
Uh-huh.
That's the last thing that I really remembered.
And so you're just really confused, disoriented, you know,
Yeah,
scared.
scared, all the emotions, of course.
And so you're in Toronto, and then what are they doing for you there? Do we start?
They didn't start doing any, like, they taught me how to eat. I had to relearn how to form my steps. I could walk, but I couldn't walk straight. I couldn't, I had to have help. So
Uh,
they taught me how to walk. They taught me how to swallow and eat again, how to pee, all the little things that we take for granted. And I don't remember any of that really. So after that, I think it was about 22 days. After 22 days and doing all that and getting me back at least a little bit, they took me to Toronto Rehabilitation, and that's a brain injury rehabilitation center in
uh,
Toronto. So I feel really lucky that I was where I was in a big city where they have a lot of this medical help available.
yeah.
Um, so I got the neuropsychology report and they assessed my injury. I think they said it was a 7.5 out of 10 on the Glasgow coma scale.
Uh,
So I know a lot of these terms or these scientific things that I've had to figure out myself, but it's helped me to get a hold on it.
so I'm not familiar with this. What is that?
You don't know what a neuropsychology report
So
is?
the Glasgow.
Oh, I guess it's just a scale that they measure comas in, and the higher the number, the closer the number is to 10, the less serious it is.
Oh,
Like
okay.
a coma with 1 out of 10 on the Glasgow coma scale is like the worst coma you can
Uh-huh.
have, I guess. I'm not really too sure, but
But a 7.1 is better.
better. It's still bad, but not as bad. Like my skull is still intact. I'm still pretty good.
Yeah, you're able to function.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And now, and
Great,
so,
great.
what are the side effects that you were dealing with? You said have steps, having to relearn, like,
Dropping things. I still deal with aphasia, um, stumbling when I walk. Sometimes my feet will shuffle, like my foot will just kind of go dead and limp, and then I'll
uh,
just shuffle it a bit, but just headaches, the anxiety, the depression, everything that we all get.
the emotional side effects.
Yes, and I had a frontal lobe injury. My scar, you probably can't see it, but my scar is just very small and it's right there. So I got hit just right above my eye.
Oh, gosh.
I had a frontal lobe injury. So I know that emotions are something that I need to regulate and I need to look at that stuff. So
Well, yeah, and I guess and so for you, was it that wasn't something that you struggled with prior?
no, I was just like, I'm an introverted person, but I would never speak out of turn. I would never insult people. I would never, and now I don't care now. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's bad. So,
Yeah, so yeah, you the that well that filter or that desire, yeah. Yeah, and so now you just spit it all out.
yes, I've controlled it a lot just through my yoga and just going back and no, I did that wrong. I said that. I shouldn't have said that. No, you have to take accountability, you know. So,
Like yeah, that was totally inappropriate. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, which I think is hard. You know,
yeah,
it's not an
that's
easy.
why a lot of people stay stuck and or a lot of people don't have a job is because they just can't get along with people.
Mm. And I think like yeah, and I think having to think. I see that having to think before you speak.
Mhm. But like, see, your brain is what helps you think. So you've injured your brain. It's like a sick joke.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. So it's like yeah, the thing that you have to rely on to help you fix it, yeah, needs to be fixed.
Hmm.
I mean, but has it has that got? But you said that's gotten better.
Oh yeah. Um, like I still sleep a lot sometimes, but I used to sleep all day, and my parents would just get angry at me for sleeping all day and call me lazy, and I was like, no.
Wait. How soon after your brain injury were they calling you lazy?
It's Now it's been like 7 or 8 years, so like probably 5 years maybe.
5 years, but just
They
for
don't call me lazy, but it's like they get annoyed with me and they're just like, why don't you have a job?
yeah.
So
Well, no, and you're well. I think the thing is like if they're dealing with the side effects, like, and I think that's an important thing because I've interviewed a number of people uh here who are like on disability or struggling to find work, like, and I'm totally not prepared for this, but I'd like let's dive into it because I think it's important. Like, if you're all right sharing, like what do you struggle with the work with getting a job? Because I think that's super important for others to hear if that's all right.
I teach yoga online, but I just struggle with the overwhelm and just there's so many things that you have to do and I have to pay someone for help and how are you supposed to pay someone when you only get like, $800 a month? You can't do that.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like too much for me to do and I can't do it myself because my brain won't do it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's and I think
So I actually had an interview yesterday.
Oh, really?
I've had a couple interviews. Yeah. So since the pandemic's slowed down, I've been able to get out a lot more, and I've got interviews. I think yeah, I've had 3 interviews for the past month, so it's been better. But so hopefully something shows up. But
Uh, well, no, no, and I asked just not for, but just for the number of people, the number of brain injury survivors who are struggling with work, because I know that it's hard for us. You know,
that's like,
you know,
that's like the big thing because you need the money for the medical treatments, and if you don't get the medical treatments, you don't get better, and you just snowball downhill.
yes,
And
and,
that's like I teach yoga for free. I don't care if you pay me or not. I really don't care because I'm here right now. I need the money for the medical treatments, but it's not there. It's,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I've had a lot of yoga teachers help me out for free. And I've met yoga teachers who have brain injuries themselves,
uh-huh.
and they give me free like craniosacral treatments. I get a lot of holistic therapy done and stuff too.
That's awesome.
It really helps me,
That's
like
glorious.
Reiki treatments.
Well, and I'm curious for you, like when you get out of this accident, and you're out of your coma, and you are, I guess, struggling, like you said, with aphasia, you're struggling with mobility, like, what would you say was the hardest part of that recovery?
I mean, just motivating myself because I'll give my parents credit. As soon as I got out of the hospital, my dad was with me every single day. He went on a walk with me every day. Like they had to go with me to the grocery store. The grocery store that I applied to work at, it's literally a 5-minute walk down the street from me. I didn't, like, I've gone to this grocery store every day my whole life. I didn't remember anything about the grocery store. Everything was foreign to me. So my parents had to show me all of the old routes that I used to took. They had to walk with me and just like, this is your old neighborhood, Gavin. This is like,
Like,
it's, I'm gonna write a book about this
well, no,
soon.
because you got, was it like it wasn't even just the short term memory, like long term memory, just
Both, like, it's weird because both of them have just been shot for me, and like some days my short term will be better, some days my long term will be better. Some days they'll both be okay, and some days I just can't remember anything.
yeah, no, I, it's a well, because you got two things going on. You got the brain injury, and then you got the coma.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I was always coma drugs take a swipe.
I had to have done something to my brain.
Well, yeah,
I
what?
mean, to your memory too, because yeah,
Well, I was always told that whenever you're put into a coma, it takes away the memory of whatever put you into a coma. Like,
good.
because if you're in a coma, probably for a bad reason, you know. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, have you found that? Like, you just like, did it take a huge chunks of your memory just gone?
Yeah, and man, so after my yoga teacher trainings, I think I did my yoga teacher trainings like 2 years after my injury, so I was still pretty fatigued and everything. But my teachers were amazing, and they took me on a silent meditation retreat as part of the training.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a free retreat. Oh my God.
That's
When
amazing.
what we had to do is we had to be silent for, I believe, 3 days. Don't talk to anybody, don't even acknowledge each other. Don't read, don't use your computer, just sit and walk.
Mm-hmm.
So they taught us walking meditations and all these things. And I swear to you, just not talking and not stimulating my brain for 3 days reset it. I had, we did a walking meditation and I had to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom. And for some reason, I started to remember it was a bad memory, but I was being bullied when I was like six or in grade six or something, and I could taste the memory. I could feel it. It was as if I was living the memory,
Oh
and
my,
something happened to my brain after that, and the short-term and long-term memory got better. But I've had these experiences since I've started to practice, since I've been practicing yoga. And it's like old memories will just come back to me and they're just so fresh and it's mind blowing, but like it's as if I've forgotten the memory completely and I'm just remembering it for the first time.
that's incredible.
Yeah, it feels amazing, but it's like, why did I forget this?
Well, and yeah, well, and it's like, and your brain just it it had, I guess, the coma drugs took it, and then the brain injury. It's like I've only got so much stuff that I can handle right now. So it
Yeah.
put it in place to protect it. That I guess yoga unlocked for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So was that
Um
your biggest coping mechanism?
oh yeah, it still is. I would say meditation is even more of a coping mechanism because it's strenuous to stretch even. We've all been there. You try your hardest during the day and 8 p.m. comes along, you're just dead. You can't
Yeah.
do anything. So just sitting and meditating has been the best thing because there's days when I couldn't physically practice yoga. I couldn't even move. So I would just sit in my chair or yoga nidra is another good practice. And it's basically yogic sleep.
Hmm.
So when you meditate, your brain is actually accessing the same frequencies that you enter when you sleep. So it's like a mild form of sleeping. You're kind of shutting your brain off a little bit. So it's really beneficial when you have a brain injury to do that. Shut your brain off. The brain can't heal if it's always working.
Uh-huh.
So that's been the biggest thing for me is just sitting down and being quiet and just closing my eyes.
Which is hard, and I think that's great because I know for a lot of us, that
Yeah.
depression, anxiety.
I had to bully myself into doing this. Honestly, it was not easy. I had to just sit myself down and say, Gavin, this is good for you. We're doing this today. Don't think about the squirrel that you saw earlier today. Don't think about, the ADD kicks in.
Oh yeah,
Like, I
well that
had to be militant about it, and my teachers were very supportive, but they knew like I would fidget during meditations and they would hear me moving my feet or moving or grumbling or something. But they were compassionate with me and they stayed with me. They believed in me.
that's all.
Um, I did two trainings with them, and the second training I didn't fully complete, but they still gave me 200-hour credit because they believed in me. Um,
That's awesome. And
that's what
like,
I mean. All of these things have happened to me coincidentally. Like I've met yoga teachers that have cared for me the whole way, and so yeah, I've been really lucky, I think.
yeah, I mean, like, and these people are people you've known before. You're just meeting them, and they're just
Strangers, complete strangers. It was a brand new yoga studio that I went to. It just got built the year before I started going to it. That's what I mean. I didn't know any of these people. These people were strangers, and like my first yoga I've had several yoga teachers, but my first, it was a male and a female, so a couple. They were married, and I told her my story, and she broke down crying. And my parents haven't even done that. My parents kind of act like it's my fault and why are you still why are you skateboarding or oh we had another skateboarding accident, who cares?
oh
That's how
my,
they kind of treat it. They don't really care. They just want me to get back to work and you know, they've given me money for treatments, however, but there's some
there's
weird
this
emotions going on there.
they they want they don't they see this not as a life changing thing, but it's just a bump in the road.
No, they just I see it as a bump in the road, and they kind of tell me, "Oh, you shouldn't work that job. You shouldn't do this because you have a brain injury." You know, they kind of use it against me, but they're
Uh,
not really aware of what they're doing, you know?
they don't.
They're
Wait.
not supportive, you know? It's
Well, absolutely. Well, yeah. So it is that they see you as um,
damaged, I think, you know.
damaged. Well, I mean, and I mean, it is important. I think it is super important to accept your brain injury, but not let that control your expectations for life.
Hmm.
Does that makes sense?
Like I want more for myself because I have a brain injury.
Hmm.
My whole thing is just I don't want this to limit me in my life, and I took that as I should go back on my skateboard, but that's not a good idea. I've thought about that, and you know,
Please, you don't need another brain injury. Let's.
and doing the same thing expecting different results is kind of insanity, so let's be sane about this.
Yes, yes,
Life's beautiful.
absolutely. Well, I mean, it's like, yeah, if balance is more of an issue now, uh, then yeah, Brett,
It's not smart at all.
yeah, please don't. We don't want that
Like
for you.
I cruise on the skateboard, but you know, I do have to give it up because I still love it and I get carried away, and then that's when you get hurt, you get carried
Yeah,
away and you get tired.
well, absolutely. But I guess I can, but I think it is like I totally understand that struggle of, and it's is it like this? Because I had to wrestle with this myself. Is like I had to understand my parents' worry as love, even when it felt limiting. If that
Yeah.
is that where you are with your parents?
Yeah, I believe so. You know that I think I misunderstand their lack of support as really just love and like, why are you still doing this, Gavin? You know. Um,
Uh-huh.
but
Because they.
you know,
Oh, go ahead.
it's just it's almost at this point it's kind of childish because it's just skateboarding's just something that I love and it's something that I'm attached to and it makes me feel comfortable. So when I
Yeah.
get down to the root of why I love this thing that almost took my life, you know, it's like I can replace that with some I can replace this with yoga and that's my intention because yoga heals you. Yoga brings you back to being whole.
Hmm. Well, and that it's finding that thing that makes you feel okay. That makes you feel. Yeah. Well, and I totally get that because after a brain injury, that's such a struggle.
Yeah. It's almost like I'm trying to get back to exactly where my life was before my brain injury. Like I'm trying to skateboard, like I was skateboarding every day, and I just can't do that anymore. And you know,
Oh yeah. Well,
so
especially yeah. Because
you
you
can
could.
get back to like doing everything that you used to do before your brain injury, but you do have to modify. And that's something that I struggle with is just accepting I can't do this as good as I used to do anymore. You know?
Oh no, I understand. Is it because what you? I mean, I struggle with this for such a long time. Is just like God, make me that person again,
Mm,
and I'm just gonna be that person as best I can instead of being like I'm somebody new.
yeah.
I don't know if that. These.
I I relate to that, but I just want to share one thing that my yoga teachers shared with me, and I just keep coming back to this memory. But she said, like, I'm the kind of person who just gets bored in the monotonous, mundane life, like going to work every day and brushing your teeth every day. And my teachers said to me that scientifically or biologically or whatever you want to say, the human body, our cells die off and new cells are born every day. So
Mhm.
technically, every day you're a different person. You're never the same. Your body looks the same, but internally, your cells and what your body's made up of changes. And it dies off and it regenerates and it grows. So, in that way, life is never really boring.
Mhm.
No, we just don't see these miracles that are happening in our bodies. And I would love to see what the brain does to itself after injury. Like what does that look like when the brain is reforming itself and when neural connections are reforming and like when brain plasticity is working.
When new neural pathways are being formed, yeah. Well, yeah, because
That's
I love that because no, I think that is so crucial to accept because I feel like you spend so much of your recovery just trying to be your old self again, even though no matter what, even if you didn't have a brain injury, like you said, that person is dead. Yeah, it's such a silly thing when
we
you think about it.
yes, but we worry about a lot of things that actually don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like when you think about how big the universe is and how small planet Earth is, and then
Yes,
you think about how small our house is compared to the universe, and
and then you look at that on the timeline of eternity. You know,
yeah,
like we don't have a microscope.
it's like how
How,
much does this actually matter?
yeah, of course, no, not at all. But and yet we just uh, you know obsess over it. You know,
But yeah, that's, I mean, humans are animals, and it's just we animals operate off of repetition, and just we just do the same things every day, and we just do the same things because that feels comfortable or that works for us. We think it works.
yeah. Well, and that's I.
It's just human nature. It's just how we are.
Well, and it's interesting because I got to make sure to put this into my. I've been meaning to put this into my class to teach my students. Um, because I have this my theme of my English 1101 course is the labyrinth of suffering. That's the theme. And I was listening to a good old Radiohead song, "No Surprises." I don't know if you're familiar.
I don't believe I've heard
So
that one.
it's like um, you know, no alarms and no surprises. A heart attack, a job that slowly kills you. It's just like no alarms, no surprises, no alarms, no surprises. And it's like actually the thing that we crave is actually sounds pretty terrible. You know.
Pretty boring.
Yeah. I mean and you're not
Yeah.
about that anymore.
No. Um, I was gonna mention something, I just forgot it.
It's all
It'll come
good.
back.
It'll come.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Um,
and just let it whenever if it ever comes, just let it out.
but what did you ask again?
Well, so I guess I am curious though for you before though, that was not you were not looking for that life, were you?
Before my brain injury, I was content with working at Walmart. I had a job at Walmart and UPS. I was working two or three jobs. I think I had another one, but I was content with going to work, working my ass off. Sorry.
That's all
And
good.
just I was content with slaving and sweating and making minimum wage for the rest of my life and skateboarding and just
Mm,
being I wasn't concerned with uplifting my life. I wasn't concerned with helping people.
hmm
Um, I still don't care about money, but now I see that I deserve a better life than just,
mm.
you know, making
Survive.
minimum, just surviving. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Was that I mean like 'cause literally it was just like I need enough money to make it through.
Yeah. That's what I was like, and I need enough money to make it through. I'll go skateboard, and now I'm like, well, I can invest in stocks. I can do all this. I can make my money work for me. I don't have to get a, I can work for myself.
And you.
I'm grateful I had this brain injury.
Hmm.
I needed this. God shook me up. I believe I had this brain injury so that I could practice yoga and that I could, yes, I'm older now. I mean, I had this brain injury when I was like 23, 24. So now I'm 31 and a lot more grown up. But I I wouldn't change anything. Not people say to me all the time, "I'm sorry this happened to you." I'm like, "No.
Mm.
I'm happy this happened to me because I was a friggin' idiot before. I just wanted to get by. I just wanted to survive.
Uh-huh.
What was that? Almost every day I look back on my mindset and I'm like, why did I think that way? I didn't want anything for myself.
Why was I just getting through?
Yeah, and now it's
Yeah,
like,
and then the other thing is, now it's like what? I'm sorry.
well, now it's just like I have these impediments. I hate to, I hate to say that I have a disability because really feel like I don't, but I have all these symptoms now, these obstacles, and now I actually want this pain. I want to go through this pain now.
Hmm.
It's like it doesn't make sense, but it's like, why did this happen?
Well, it's so interesting because that's like the end thing. So my whole course is the labyrinth of suffering, and it's like it's from the book Looking for Alaska. It's like the metaphor they use. Basically, it's life. Life is just an endless maze of suffering. Um, and then at the end of we start the course with like, okay, how do we get out of the labyrinth? Then we move to, well, we can't get out. The only way to get out is to die. We have to live within it. And then my last message that I try to leave, that we try to go to with do segments from Malcolm Gladwell's David and Goliath, is like, be thankful for the labyrinth because it teaches you so much.
That's, I mean, that's why I call myself stupid because I wasn't learning anything. I didn't
Mm.
desire to, like, I had no ambition or, I mean, I feel like some of it was the anxiety that I felt because I've always had social anxiety. But the farther
Hmm.
I get along in my yoga and in the study of myself and my emotions, the more I think that social anxiety exists, but I think it's something that you can feed into and make grow
Hmm.
because, they do cognitive behavioral therapy and everything like that, but when you're constantly having people tell you you have social anxiety, you have this, you're that, it just strengthens it.
Hmm.
So, I still get anxious in social situations, but I know how to control it now. I know that it's not me. Before, when I used to take medication for it, and I used to go to, I think I went to cognitive behavioral therapy for social anxiety,
Hmm.
and like I just developed this label that I was this shy kid who didn't have any confidence and that's not really me. That was me in high school,
Hmm.
you know.
And it's fascinating that after the brain injury, when you would think that your confidence would.
It did take a toll on my confidence for a while, but as soon as I started to get back into the gym, as soon as I started to practice yoga and I like my wrists were so weak that I couldn't really do down dog when I
Mm.
first started to practice yoga. So I've come a long way in my practice, but when I first started, it was a struggle
Mm.
just because of the injuries that I've had.
Yeah, absolutely. But through that, you became stronger.
Yes, sir. And I think it was before the pandemic, but maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I did a couple meditations at the Brain Injury Association. So they have a yoga room in there, and I haven't gone back since the pandemic hit, but I would like to do more work with the Brain Injury Association in my town. Um, I live in Peterborough, Ontario, and we
Mm-hmm.
have great resources for brain injury as well as in Toronto.
That's,
So I feel really,
that's
really lucky. Like I was able to get the neuropsychology report done on my
mhm.
accident, and that was covered. Um, that was covered
Yeah,
under our my local hospital because they have
entirely.
oh yeah, they have I forget what it was called, but it's basically just health care for stroke survivors, or and I guess brain injury falls under stroke.
Well,
So
well,
they
and
didn't.
you have this thing in Canada called healthcare that's
Yeah.
like doesn't require people to make GoFundMe campaigns,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, sorry, no, I just want to take a moment to be sad that I'm an American sometimes. Uh, no, I wish we could, because I mean,
I've spoken to a lot of people who live in America, and they haven't been it. You know, people who get in motorcycle accidents or whatever get hit by
yeah,
a drunk driver. I spoke to one guy who got hit by a drunk driver, and he
mm,
didn't have enough money to get proper recovery.
yeah,
You
and
know, a lot of us get the shit end of the stick.
well, I mean, were your medical bills? I guess not all. Well, are they? Yeah, how does that work?
Um, well, I just didn't have to pay anything for my. I
Like
did
for
rehabilitation at the local hospital,
uh,
um, and that was yeah, that was good.
so like
I mean,
specialist wise, you don't have to pay for those.
no, I've paid for the neurofeedback treatments I got, and are you familiar with those?
No, well, I've heard about these. I was talking about somebody earlier. Yeah.
Neurofeedback. So they basically hook up an EEG machine to your brain, and they can pump electricity into your brain and help you to relieve your fatigue or help you. It just helps your brain work better. And
Hmm.
so those were helping me out for a while. Um,
But those were not covered.
no, I had to pay for those.
Uh-huh.
So that
Well,
becomes an issue at times for me, thankfully.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know for you though, like, I do I want to like come here as like, so you're really struggling, like, so then, I mean, mental with memory and stuff, but then you said the emotional really took a toll.
Yeah,
And yoga was the thing. I mean, did you have the family support as well?
I mean, yeah, they supported me, more so financially than emotionally.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, they were.
that's me.
What?
Maybe that's just me. Maybe I didn't ask them, or
It's hard.
yeah.
It's, I mean,
They don't understand it. Like they get in arguments with me all the time, and I've tried to give them pamphlets of information about how do you speak to someone with a brain injury.
mhm.
Um, because they would always, like my dad yells at me sometimes from the bottom of the steps because he just got a knee replacement, so he can't walk up the stairs, or he doesn't want to feel the pain of walking up the stairs, so he just yells at me sometimes, and that's very aggravating.
Oh gosh.
But apparently, if I'm wrong, if I ask him to stop that, so you know,
Yeah, and it isn't.
do I risk moving out on my own and having to pay rent, or do I just stay here? So I've decided to just stay here and just deal with it.
Yeah, but that's hard, especially because I mean, I don't know. Like for me, yelling is something that I really struggle
I've
with.
come a long way, but I used to like the neighbor's dog barking would just irritate me to no end. Like I would get so angry. And that was like 2 years ago maybe, but
Hmm.
I've gotten better. So I've been able to strengthen myself around these things. And I think that's all because of yoga.
Hmm.
Um, just because I've meditated and stopped, and you can't really change your behaviors unless you stop and just really analyze what you're doing and then figure out how you can change it.
Hmm.
What steps do you have to take to slowly work towards how you want to be?
Yeah, yeah. Like if you're not going to work towards it, then how is it ever going to change?
Hmm.
And so for you, you've made those steps.
Yeah,
And so the Gavin of today is very different.
yeah. Than even 3 years ago
Oh my gosh.
or a year ago.
Yeah. Well,
The
I'm.
pandemic didn't. I didn't really handle the pandemic too well. That kind of sent me off my routine and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
so
I'm back into it now, so it's all good.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, I can totally get that. Especially yeah. I mean, because I think for us brain injury survivors, routines are important.
I think that's where the medicine is. Um, because even I would go to the Brain Injury Association and like they would have rules. So they had a coffee bar and they had a snack bar. And they
Hmm.
told me as soon as I went there, do not move anything because if you move something, another person with a brain injury is going to go crazy. They're not going to be able to find it.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sure you've been there. You forget
Oh
something,
yeah.
you can't find it. And my parents just leave the kitchen dirty. I could do the dishes, but they leave the dishes out. They leave everything on the table. And it's just, when I walk down to the kitchen, my brain is just
Yeah.
exploding. And
Be-
they don't understand that.
Oh yeah. Well, and especially like I think I mean I don't think people realize like the but it was here. But this is the place that it goes. Why did you move it?
Yeah.
Because no, we learn the place that it's at. Yeah.
They don't understand the deeper reason behind why you leave something. Like, my desk is always messy because if I don't leave something on my desk, if I don't leave my tooth floss on my desk and I don't see it, I'm not going to floss my teeth
Yeah.
because I don't see it. I'm just going to, you know,
I completely understand. It's like leaving the things out in plain view so that you can remember that. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm very, very curious. I do want to know this for you. 'Cause I'm thinking about this. Yeah, I do want to know is like, so like, I may be skipping around the questions here, but I'm curious is like, for you, you said that you're like feeling like this is the best thing that happened to me,
Yeah.
right? This is the best thing that happened to me. So where would you say you are in like grieving process? Because with the brain injury, you've got to grieve who you were. Where would you say that you are?
Hmm. Well, I would say I haven't focused on the grieving process enough.
Hmm.
Like, because I'm just so focused, I need my life back. Like, what else is there? I need
Uh-huh.
to provide for myself. I need to be a man. I need, all this
Mm-hmm.
that gets tossed around at us. I need to be a contributing member of society. I'm just so obsessed with that because my environment doesn't support me or my environment's not healthy.
Uh-huh.
That's all they want me to do. Just be a slave, work your butt off.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just so focused on just, working and I don't know, making money that I just don't.
You haven't had time to focus on that aspect of your recovery.
Yeah, like man, I've cried but and I've journaled about it and I've grieved about it, but like I don't know, it just feels like part of me is disconnected from that and I can't. It's like I feel like part of me is I feel like it's just hurt me too much that if I was to actually look at it and look at how this actually made me feel,
Mm-hmm.
I say I'm grateful for it, but I lost I lost an activity that I've been doing for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
That cuts deep. So if
Mm.
I just feel like I'm not ready to look at that yet, and I'm honestly scared to, go to a therapist and just sit down and talk about, because I really haven't done that yet. Uh,
But I
I've
mean,
I've had small therapy sessions, but like, extensive therapy, I haven't done that yet, and I will. But I'm really scared to open that up. Because and again, I've never been like this, but after the brain injury, the way I deal with things now is just forget about it and move on, or,
uh,
toughen up and move on. And I don't know where that came from.
I think it's survival. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're like, there's only so much that you can process, you know. But no, I mean, I don't know. I think it's good. I don't know the therapy. I don't know. I was challenged by my doctor to consider it
Mm.
recently because I was like, hey, I wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and they were like, well, let's try this. And if that doesn't work, you might want to go see a therapist.
They give you medication?
Well, they gave me some melatonin, extended release, to try and help with the sleep. But they were like, because they're, that, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, because I don't know. I think for us as brain injury people, like, we have mental health struggles,
Oh yeah,
but
I
we're,
think that's the biggest. I think
so,
that's why people treat you so poorly.
mhm. What do you mean by that?
Well, I've I had this weird habit of just telling people, like I would meet someone and then I would just tell them like, I'm Gavin, I have a brain injury.
Mhm.
Just start talking about my brain injury and
Mhm.
I would never get like a good response from that.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think as soon as you tell people you have a brain injury, they just assume that you're a mental case and you're, this and that.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
still
they.
stigmatized. It's not something that you can just walk around telling people that you've been through.
Well, and it's one of these things like I don't know. I've been challenged with it because I trying to practice what I preach, and I always try to tell my students up the front, and that's been good because they have been far more um, accepting, supportive than I thought. I mean, and I've said this before, but I had a student with a brain injury who's like, "Your class really helped me feel comfortable with my injury," which was like, "This, I thank you, I'm done." That's like the best thing that I've heard.
Same.
Um, I was just like, I was so grateful to the student for telling me that. But it's like but it's hard with my colleagues because I'm a professor, and they
Yeah.
hear brain injury and they go,
See, I feel like with kids, you kind of have you're kind of above them on the social totem pole. So people who do the same thing that you're doing are more likely to judge you or look at you
mm,
a certain way than a kid. Um,
mm.
Kids like to idolize adults, I find.
"Oh, absolutely," and yes, and though they are technically legally adults, they're definitely kids. I won't
Yeah.
forgive me, students who are following me on Instagram. I love you and you're great. But no, I mean like I no, I do, but it's like I see what I see in that is I see I mean honestly like 18 you you don't realize, you know.
The brain's still developing. I think it's still developed, still 25 or something.
Yeah.
You know, I think, well, my brain wasn't even fully developed when I had my brain injury, you know, and I think about that a lot. But
Well, yeah, I mean, so I guess yeah, how old were you when you had it? 20
22, 23, I believe,
uh-huh.
maybe 24, roughly 7 or 8 years ago.
So
I'm
then
30.
and then for yeah, I mean, still developing and still in that space, I think like cuz I mean, I had my accident at 17 is like still in that space where you are seeking others' approval.
And guidance, and you're trying to figure out who you are, and you don't even know that you're not the body yet, and like all this mystical stuff that yoga's taught me, and
Yeah.
life can get pretty complex. So yeah, when at that young age, I can't imagine.
What yeah, I mean, it's and I think it was like for me, I don't know about for you, but like having like seeking the approval of others became very much of an idol for me in my life.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I've battled with a lot, and that I've gotten better with that. But yeah, just you know, I need to make my parents proud, or I need to make them happy, or blah blah
Hmm.
blah. And the fact is, if they just don't understand, if they just don't understand it, they're kind of bullying you. So
Hmm.
you gotta like, they're still your parents, but you have to take everything they say with a grain of salt because they still love you, but you know,
Well, you but you got to chart your own path.
yeah,
Yeah, you know. To steal a phrase from Mr. Nick Offerman, you have to paddle your own canoe. And if yeah, because and at the end of the day, like focusing on making them happy won't
you
make
you'll
you
know.
happy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking about this is like if this is we I'm glad that I've got these questions enough in my head because I was like I was thinking about like I am curious to know for you. That's my sort of my last big question that I want to I think about is like if you could go back, if Gavin could go back in time to you right after you woke up out of the coma, what would you want to say to him?
Hmm. Everything's gonna turn out all right. I mean, that's been the whole like I just get anxiety about the dumbest things. Like
Mm-hmm.
I get anxiety about I'm gonna be homeless soon, or I'm sure most people who have brain injuries don't have a good outlook on their future, but I keep getting these anxious thoughts about I'm just gonna end up on the street. I'm just gonna, you know, they're not true, and I shoot them down as soon as they come up to mind, but it's always gonna be there.
Well, it do you find like I lived in the world of and I know can still sometimes live in the world of both of like I'm gonna get to these great heights and I'm especially early on like I'm gonna recover and do this and this and this and in the same thought be like I'm gonna be homeless. Uh,
Yeah, it's like bipolar. And yeah, it's like contrasting mindsets or contrasting viewpoints. I mean, that's what it's um there's a constant war going on in your mind, and that's what people don't really understand. Like your mind, even when I'm meditating, I'm never at peace.
Hmm.
That's just what it is. That I've, people complain in yoga, they call it the monkey mind. Your mind is basically an unruly monkey, and your mind is just telling you all these things every day that don't actually matter. They don't actually make sense.
Yeah.
You're jealous about your coworker that you don't even care about, you know. So when you damage that monkey, when you piss that monkey off, when you give that monkey drugs or whatever, you get that monkey drunk, that's basically a brain injury. Like
Hmm.
it's
You.
not good.
Oh yeah, and I mean, but in striving, but the hard thing is like that monkey. Like if you let that monkey run wild, you know, it can it
He
can
does.
it can be so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, have you
Yeah. I mean,
not to beleaguer the metaphor, but have you found a way to control the monkey?
yes. And like this is the mystical side of yoga and the side that some people might make fun of, but you really aren't your body.
Hmm.
This is what freed me from, I really feel like from my brain injury, but some people might find this odd, but I feel like I have to say this, but you are not your body.
Hmm.
You're not your thoughts. You are the energy or the spirit that is watching yourself do this. You're watching yourself think these thoughts. You can disconnect yourself. You can disconnect your awareness from the thoughts that you feel, from, all these little things. And this is essentially what yoga is. Yoga was originally designed for men and for the military. And it was, I believe, I'm not quoting anything, but I believe it was designed for military purposes
Hmm.
so that people could be able to withstand the harshest conditions. I mean, that's truly what yoga is. Yoga isn't really this practice where everybody's nice to each other and we're just happy all the time. Yoga's about building yourself up.
Hmm.
Um, and that's been the most value that I've gotten out of yoga, and just being able to know. And again, I can't really explain this, but you just have to experience it for yourself.
Hmm.
But you're not your body. And I think like as soon as someone insults you and you're able to just laugh at it or you don't get offended by it, you start to realize that I can control this. I'm not, when someone makes fun of me, I don't have to react.
Hmm.
You start to kind of figure it out.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and I think I don't know. I come out with my spirituality, in my faith, as a Christian, is there's a song that I love by the band The Mountain Goats, and John Darnell is like on my list of people. I'm not gonna lie, it's not a good list, but well, no, it is. I'm not ashamed of it. It's first it's Stephen Colbert, second is John
It's
Darnell,
the best list.
third, yeah.
It's the best list because it's your list.
Thank you, thank you. There we go. But it's like John Darnell has a
Don't
song.
think about what I'm going to think about it.
No, you know what?
And
It,
that's,
it is
I
the
just
best.
want to interject, but like that's kind of what yoga does help and meditation helps you to do. It makes you more confident, but a lot of people can take it too far
Yeah.
where they just, they're arrogant and they're just cocky. But
Well, yeah,
you
and
got to don't talk down on yourself, you've got to
this is the well then
believe
yeah
in yourself, and believe that whatever you like is good because it's what you like.
yeah
And
this
you don't like bad,
I don't like murder. I'm not there's no negative things on this
yeah.
on my things I enjoy.
So I mean, it's probably a great list.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. The
Everything is kind of
now.
subjective.
yeah, but it's whatever. I think the thing is, and this is something that I try to live by, is like when I was younger, I used to judge people for what they liked.
Mm.
Like, oh, you like that, you watch that, you listen to that. And then I was talking to a student, and they listened to something that I don't like. And they were like, yeah, you. And then, I mean, I guess they maybe were like, yeah, you probably wouldn't listen to this. I was like, no, but you like it. That's awesome. Like, no, but it's like, but John Darnell is he has a song is it says, I won't get better, but someday I'll be free. I am not this body that imprisons me. Like,
Mm, that's beautiful.
I know, it's like, look, you know, thank you to John Darnell. The man is, if you don't know the Mountain Goats, I'll make your life better. Glorious, glorious, glorious band. But it for me. It's when I heard it, it hit me, and I didn't know why it hit me. And then when I listened to it, it's just like as a brain injury, it's like, yes, I'm not
Mm.
this body.
I
This,
mean, that's one thing that my yoga teacher told me, and she was just very dramatic about it. But like as I said before, I would always tell people that I had a brain injury. So I identified myself. I still identify myself with my injury. I think that I am my brain injury for some
yeah,
reason. I mean, that's why I always told strangers that I met that I had it because I identify with it so much.
uh,
And she just said, she smiled at me. She's like, Gavin, you're not your injury.
no,
And like,
which
just the way she said that to me just impacted me, and I won't ever forget it. But I feel like part of me will always believe
mm,
that I am some part of this brain injury, you know?
well,
How do
I
you
think the
feel
thing.
about that? Are you able to like separate yourself from the injury that happened to you? Or do you identify with it kind of? Like this
Well,
is a part of me now.
this is the thing. The thing that it's funny because I, yes, it's like this weird space. Like I have the brain injury, and
Mhm.
it's taken me a long time to say this. It took me about 12 years, for me to be able to say I have a brain injury, and I will always have a brain injury, and I am thankful I have a brain injury. But then I also in that same beat, and I think there's a song that always got to me. It's "Break My Bones," and the chorus is, you can break my bones, but you'll never break me." And so I think it's like there is like, no, I have a brain injury, and I will always have a brain injury. And you know what? Like we talked about, like, thank you, like, God, thank you for this. I always quote Anderson Cooper talking about the death of his father when he was young, saying, I am now most, or Stephen Colbert, I'm sorry, Stephen Colbert talking about the death of his father when he was talking to Anderson Cooper. And
Okay.
Stephen Colbert says, I am most grateful for the thing for which I wish did not happen most. And I'm there, but it's also a place of like, there's also me, and I'm not going to let this thing define me as far as like limit me. You can break my bones, but you'll never break me. Does that sort of mean? Is that for you as well?
Yeah, I love that. I resonate to that totally. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean that
glorious.
I haven't really gotten my teeth fixed. I'm on I mean Canada has pretty good dental coverage for ODSP, so I could get my tooth replaced, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't really care, and it's like the only visual reminder that people have that I've hit my head. So I
Mm.
kind of like to keep it there just but I feel like a lot of people if they don't know me, they would just look at me like a drug addict or whatever, but it doesn't matter.
But forget those people.
Exactly.
There's, yeah. No, but and I love that because you want to. you don't want to lose that.
Like I really sometimes it's depressing to say this, but sometimes I wish I was more affected or my brain injury was more visible because people treat me like, what's wrong with you, Gavin?
And I
I
like,
have those thoughts sometimes and I don't like having them, but it's just like, you know,
and do you know, like, for
your brain.
me, like the thing that changed everything for me and was getting the cane,
Mm,
because I got rid of the cane and I was walking with a little bit of a limp, but then my wife was like, "Hey, like, you walk better when we hold hands. Maybe you should have." But what's great about it is people do treat me better. Like, before, people
yeah,
would slow down and go, "Hey, buddy, you had a bit too much to drink." It's like, no, I'm
yeah.
just walking. Have you gotten
Totally.
that?
People just think you're drunk or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I stumble in front of people a lot, and I smoke cannabis, so people just think I'm either stoned or
Oh,
it's not the case. But,
yeah, you're just walking. And doesn't that hurt?
yeah, it's a judgment that's not based on truth. So how could it not hurt?
Hmm.
You know, it goes back to the invisible injury thing. Like, I keep telling myself that I feel like it's just kind of like a sick joke that God likes to play on us.
Mm.
Not in a mean way, but it's almost as if God's chuckling, like, I wonder how he's going to get around this one. How's he going to how's he going to convince people to help him now?
Oh yeah. Because now he's got this injury, but
Yeah,
people can't see it.
yeah,
But
that's funny.
but
But, you know,
but you're right, because it is like, what's so funny to me is I have felt way more empathy with a cane,
yeah,
because people have a physical reminder of you're disabled,
yeah,
and they can understand that, but they can't understand an invisible injury. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean,
And it's like I do understand it, but when you live with it, it wears on you.
oh no, I think we understand that, but I think the normies, uh,
Yeah,
like your parents,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, a lot of people just live life just getting by, or they just they don't pay attention to the deeper aspects of things, or like I'm a total nerd. I love studying things and like why does that do what it does? I
Hmm.
want to know everything about everything.
Yeah, and you want to understand it,
Yeah,
but most people are just like, ah, you're disabled.
yeah, whatever. And like I've spoken to a few people online, and I was speaking to one I think he was about 18 a couple years ago, but he just like, yeah, I got all of his medical information and a bunch of stuff, multiple personality, and he's just
Mm,
like, yeah, my parents just they've given up on me. They
mm,
just told me to be like this for my whole life, and I'm just like, no, man, don't listen to them.
yeah.
That's what happens to so many people. They get trapped by their parents because nobody believes in them. And how are you going to believe in yourself?
Oh my, absolutely.
Crushes people.
I was telling my dad, like, that's like my thing as a professor. I and maybe it's insecurity, maybe I don't know, but I'm always amazed when I realize how much some students look up to me, you know, and
They probably
I realize that, like, they're just looking for somebody who's like, oh, I understand, you know, like
Yeah.
somebody who gets that life is hard.
Yeah, I think we're all looking for that because we've all kind of been emotionally abused at some time.
Hmm.
It's just life. Life isn't easy, you know.
No, it's life is the hardest thing you'll ever do. Uh,
Ain't that the truth?
Absolutely. Well, I want to see. I want to see before we roll out the red carpet for you. And this has been a glorious interview. Thank you, Evan. I
I
mean,
really loved this conversation.
I very much love this conversation as well. And I'm really happy. Like, I'm always happy, and it seems to happen so much with the brain injury people. It's just like I forget about my questions because it just the conversation just goes.
We have
Um,
so much to relate to, but we don't know each other. That's the amazing part to me. Like we're total strangers.
yeah,
I just saw that you do these interviews and we just have this conversation that just flows.
and it's just
Beautiful.
because nobody understands it like we understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you've had a brain injury, it doesn't matter how close you are with your friends or your family, they can't understand it.
Yeah. And that's kind of the blessing for me for being with people that maybe don't understand it. Or I've given them the information to understand it. They just don't want to look at it or they don't understand it. I'm not sure.
Mm.
But the blessing behind that is speaking to people like you and going to the Brain Injury Association that's downtown for me. And people that I meet, I relate to them. I don't want to say I would die for them, but you know what I mean? There's something,
There's a relationship.
if I saw someone bullying them, I would step in. Like, and I'd not like that for everybody.
No, but it's
It's
like,
kind of personal, it's personal to you. So, because you relate on that, you know.
well, it's like, I guess that like boot camp forms brotherhood through suffering, and so
Uh,
I think like this is like, oh, I know the suffering you're going through, or and that same thing of like, oh yeah, if for my student with a brain injury, if anyone ever bullied her or insult, oh my gosh, I'm stepping in, and I'm not physically intimidating at all, so that's not going to go well. Um, but yeah, absolutely. Well, any final thoughts for you before we roll out the carpet? Anything that you didn't say that you wanted to say?
well, I encourage everybody to get into yoga and meditation. You don't have to study with me, but I do love teaching people with brain injury. I love it because we have conversations like this.
Mm.
So please feel free to add me, and I have a link in my bio with a link tree with lots of free programs. Um, I do other things like I give people therapy. I call it yoga talk therapy.
Mm.
Basically, I just hold space and listen to your issues, and I can give you advice or I can save it. So I just give people a space to vent their issues.
That's
And I do
awesome.
personalized private classes as well. Um, and I offered you one as well, so I'll send you the links to get
Yeah,
some.
absolutely. And then and for you, where can we get all like is all this information in your bio?
Yes, sir.
So everyone needs
Under,
to just follow you.
yep.
And
And you can just message me at any time. And
what's the handle?
Gavin underscore Edwards underscore.
And so okay, everybody is following you right now. They better be. They better be following, and then they can get all of this and follow along with yoga, get those classes, and reach out to you for advice.
Yes, sir.
Well, glorious. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for the glorious interview. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Everybody needs to follow Gavin. get on that, and you're seeing all these hearts flow up.
I love it.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for all the love.
like, I mean, absolutely, it's been happening. And Gavin, you have a glorious, glorious, glorious rest of your evening.
You too, my friend. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you very much. Absolutely. Take care.
Take care.
All right, bye. Awesome. Glorious.